Let Freedom Ring. Before we get into anything, we just want to say RIP to the rock and roll icon, Meatloaf, passed away last week. Unforgettable music that will live on forever. But we are keeping Soapy Pre-Op out of the studio. We still have the new contract with security this week, going into 2022, I should say. Don't want to think about 2020 ever again. But we're keeping them out. But my guest this week, Brandon Linatsas. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Pleasure to have you. We go way back probably to...
First grade?
First grade.
I think so, yeah.
long time.
Yeah,
so.
we got a lot of cool memories together.
But let's get to know you a little bit. Well, we kind of gave it away, but where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Sure, Nashua, New Hampshire. I was actually born in Georgia when my father was finishing chiropractic school. Came up here before we turned 1. And I've lived here ever since. I did 4 years in California for grad school and then came back.
Nice.
And everybody thought I was crazy for coming back to New Hampshire from California, but best move ever.
Where in California were you?
I was in the Bay Area, so right next door to Oakland, little city called San Leandro.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool out there. I loved it.
Nice. That's one thing I've never been to the West Coast. I got to do it eventually.
It's pretty cool. I wouldn't want to live there forever, but it was just the perfect time of our lives to go spend 4 years on the West Coast.
Awesome. Yeah. I think you're a lot like me. Like New Hampshire just feels like home.
It is. Yeah.
We know you're a chiropractor, but what are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
Cool. Yeah. Well, first, I'm a family guy. My family is everything to me. My kids, Cole and June, my wife Jen. And that's first, and then the most important thing in my life, and it brings me so much joy, and they give me so much support in the things that I do, and it's fun to support them in the things that they do. So that's number 1. Number 2 is been watching a lot of Disney movies with my kids, and I find that I get pretty weepy at the end of most Disney movies. Yeah, I can't hold it back anymore. I don't know where it comes from. And number 3 is I feel pretty convicted to change the world. You know, the vision of my business is to revolutionize healthcare in our community, and I hope that has resounding effects across the world. So, change the world or die trying.
Awesome. Now, do you and your kids have a favorite Disney movie? Is there one that they lean to? Is there? Because I feel like a lot of like families now have like that go-to. Like, my niece loves Frozen.
Yeah.
Or Moana.
Yeah. So Frozen was popular for a long time. We tend to switch. We'll go through phases of like, Encanto is the new one.
Okay.
And you probably haven't seen it yet, but pretty catchy jingles. They've been stuck in my head for like a week now. Yeah. It goes back and forth. I've seen WALL-E about 1 million times.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Do you ever get to throw them like our generation, like the 90s ones, or?
I try.
Yeah.
Like if it's not the Pixar animation, they're not into it. Like they don't like the old school animation.
Too funny. Like you can definitely see like the generational switch, but like Lion King, that's on, I'm watching it. Mm-hmm. Now sticking with the theme of the show, and I think we need to put that on a t-shirt. I've said it so many times, but it is Let Freedom Ring.
Sure.
And this question means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to you to be an American?
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought a lot about. I knew you asked this question because I've watched the other episodes. I think number 1, it means that we have a lot of hope, right? I think we've taken big steps forward and some big steps back, but ultimately this is the land of freedom, and that means there's a lot of hope, right? And people can come here and make something of themselves. And having been fortunate enough to like travel to other places, you really get to see what it's like and understand how lucky we are. But I think we got work to do. But there's hope that we can get there.
I agree. I think I've said this a lot of times on air. I am so proud to be an American, and I love it. And I am one of those people that waves the American flag everywhere and stuff. But does that mean we're perfect? No. We should always strive to be better.
Yep. 100%.
So I like that answer a lot. But yeah, let's get now. You're a chiropractor. We never had a chiropractor on the show, so I have some questions here. I want to talk about your career there. How did you decide you wanted to do that?
Yeah. So my dad was a chiropractor. He started the business back in 1985 when I was 1 year old. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we've been around for a long time. He used to tell me like, you can do anything you want in life after you go to chiropractic school. So of course I graduated high school and floundered in college for a little bit. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then I went to mechanic school of all things. I have a degree in automotive technology, and farted around in life for a little bit. And I had a life-changing experience. I went to Bosnia and volunteered for 3 weeks with basically kids that were displaced from the war. And it just had such a profound effect on me. I knew I had to impact humanity in a greater way. And I just knew I was going to go to chiropractic school. And I never looked back. Took all the rest of my prerequisites. You have to have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Or the equivalent thereof. And finished that up, flew out to California, and did 4 years of chiropractic school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you do your bachelor's, then it's like a whole nother, I guess, another 4 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's basically 8 years start to finish. There are ways you can circumvent some of a year or two,
Yeah.
or a year and a half, but ultimately it's basically 8 years of college.
Awesome. Now your dad wanted you to do that originally. Was he still kind of like pushing you towards it, or did you decide like, you know what? All right, this is really what I want, like ultimately what I want to do.
No, if you know me, Dan, after high school and after I kind of flopped in college at first, I took some time to kind of find myself. Made some questionable decisions in life, and I wouldn't take any of it back. But so I don't know. I don't know if he gave up hope that I would ever be a chiropractor. And then one day I called him. I said, "Dad, I'm going to chiropractic school. I got in, and I'm going." And I think he was just really, really proud, and I know he was. And two of the greatest years I had in practice was when I came home and practiced next to my dad. And I mean, that was really special. And another really cool thing about our practice is that I get to take care of people that knew me when I was 5 years old,
Yeah.
Kicking around my dad's ankles at the office, which is pretty special.
No, that's awesome. And it's one of those things too. When we're all graduating from high school that time, none of us knew what the hell we wanted to do.
All I knew is I wasn't ready to commit to one thing for the rest of my life.
But I have to say, with all the people I went to school with, it's so awesome to see what everybody's doing now, and I'm so proud of you.
It really is. You look at like 15 years ago where we were all at and where we're at now. It makes me so proud to see everybody like where they're at in life. It's great.
Definitely awesome. So we know. Okay, so you went to school in California. What was the name of the school?
Life Chiropractic College West. Okay. Yeah, and that was in Hayward, California.
Awesome. Now did a lot of the people you went to school with, like, are they running their own practices now, or like a lot of them, are they all spaced all over the country?
Good question. Yeah, I would say a majority, by a little bit, probably was local to California.
Okay.
But they're really all over the country. It wasn't a huge school. It's grown significantly since I was there. But yeah, they're all over the place. And then, when you're starting out, I was really fortunate to take, step into my dad's business. A lot of other docs, when you don't know what you're doing in business, you usually get an associateship, right? So you become an associate doctor somewhere. And some just go start their own business. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, it's Nashua Family Chiropractor. So how did it become? So your dad wants you to come back. Mm-hmm. He wants you to work with him. Yeah. At what point is he saying, "Hey, I think you're ready to run this"?
Sure. It didn't quite happen like that.
Okay.
My dad had some health issues. He had a couple heart attacks, and he was kind of faced with a really difficult decision. If he had his way, he would have practiced until he literally couldn't anymore. And his doctors had a heart-to-heart with him, like, "Dr. Dave, if you keep doing this, you're going to shave some years off your life." And he reluctantly said, "Okay, I'll retire." And I bought the business from him in 2016. So it was kind of a bummer. It took him a while to get used to retiring. In a practice like ours that's so like family focused, the people we take care of are like they're like family, and like I can't imagine not seeing the people that I see so regularly, and they become a part of your life. And I think he struggled with that for a little bit. So I did everything I could to like keep him in the picture, and I still call him for advice and everything, because after 35 years he's been there and done that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are a lot of the clients patients?
Yeah.
Do a lot of them? Do you still have a lot that were with him?
Yeah, pretty surprising amount. Yeah, and that's the idea. We're trying to create lifelong health for people, and create lifelong patients and relationships. We're partnering in their long-term health, right, and keep people moving. So yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was noticing on Facebook that I'm assuming there's got to be a lot of people that I know that go visit you, because some of the people that I'm like, how do they know Brandon that are liking it or saying, oh, this is great? I'm going, oh, they got to be one of his patients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So which I can't point out any of
No,
those
no,
people,
no,
but
we're
yeah,
not
there's a
using
lot of, I
names.
think through SNU and like other just softball, a lot of people, I often bring you up like, hey, you know this guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. Now what's the daily schedule? Now, obviously, you're a dad. Got 2 kids. Got to practice here. What's your daily schedule like? Because that's going to be
Like
you're running a business,
like
2
in
kids.
life, you mean, or like at the office?
I would say both.
Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday basically is like my marathon. I feel like I start Monday morning and I'm either working or parenting like until Wednesday night. And so, it's get up, make breakfast for the kids, get them ready, go see patients. At the office, we have multiple practitioners and we have acupuncture, massage, nutrition, chiropractic. So, throughout the course of the day, we'll see somewhere between like 70 and 100 patients. And I see a fair share of that. So I get to interact with a lot of people all day. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I basically work 12 hours taking care of people, that's what like lights my fire. I love taking care of people. I was saying to my staff last night, like it was Wednesday night, it was a super busy day, and the last patient walked out, and I was like, I'm ready. I could see 20 more people. Like I'm just get so fired up from everybody else's energy, and it's really rewarding because, knock on wood, most of the time people come in, they're like, hey, I feel great. Like this went well, and so it's just busy all day long. And then Thursday, I take the doctor hat off and kind of put on the business owner hat, and that's what I'm doing, like big picture stuff for the business. And I also read x-rays and MRIs and prepare reports and things like that. And then I get to spend the rest of Thursday with my kids. I pick them up from school and we usually go do something cool.
Nice. Now, I was looking at the website. There's 2 chiropractors, right? And then you said a massage therapist too?
2 massage therapists,
2, okay.
An acupuncturist, a nutritionist, and we just signed the paperwork at the end of last week. We've hired a primary care provider to come work at the office. So the idea is like a comprehensive place for your family's health, all on a slightly more holistic, like natural paradigm.
Very cool. So do a lot of patients, you come in, they might see you one day, see the massage therapist another day? Like, are you all kind of working together on that?
That's the idea, and that was always the vision of the practice, right? That everyone was going to be, all the providers would be employees of the business. I get asked all the time, can I rent a room from you? And it's just that, like, that's not the vision I want. The idea is that we're all working together for your health. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of like I see a chiropractor and I see an acupuncturist over here, and we don't communicate, but we communicate. We meet weekly and talk about, Mrs. Jones has XYZ going on. Okay, what are you going to do, and what are you going to do, and what are the X-rays? So it's we get better outcomes that way. There are definitely lots and lots of people that only see the acupuncturist or only see the chiropractor or only see the massage therapist.
Because I do notice a lot of that stuff does kind of go together.
For sure.
One other thing I want to ask too, because obviously we have lived in very strange times.
Sure have.
I don't know. They were the Roaring 20s in the 1900s. I don't know what you call these, the miserable 20s.
I know. It's crazy.
COVID hits.
Yeah.
You got a practice going. What does that look like when that all kind of? Because that's something very. I was afraid to go to a doctor for a while. And then even when I went in, I was like, oh my God, am I going to walk out of here with COVID? Pandemic hits. What's that look like in there?
Sure. Good question. There was a lot of uncertainty at first. I think I only closed up shop at the very beginning for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then they actually asked to open the doors, right? And then we did, limited appointments, emergencies only. But the idea was, when the hospitals were getting clogged up, right? We don't want people going to the hospital because their back hurts or they have a headache, right? And that's, one of my areas of expertise. So anything we could do to lighten the load on the hospital and the hospital workers, they wanted. So interestingly, once the initial fear and uncertainty about COVID kind of settled down and we got a better grasp of what it was and what it wasn't, but it actually, like, I got super duper busy,
Okay.
and I think, one of the things we did know fairly early on was your best odds of surviving COVID, if you got it, was how healthy you were going into it, right? And I think people kind of got the idea there, and we certainly play a role in that.
Awesome. Yeah, like I think about like how the world shuts down.
Yeah.
Like my job, go home, take your laptop and work. But
Yep.
like being a chiropractor, that's a whole nother like
Right.
you got to figure out how we're going to manage this, how are we going to be safe with it. Is now kind of things like, because well, actually, I haven't been to your new
Sure.
place. I had been to the old one. Like, can you only have so many patients in the waiting room at one time, or is that kind of?
Yeah, so in the thick of it, we took out, like, I don't know, 60-70% of, like, the chairs in the waiting room. We spaced out visits. Like, I'm lucky because the new office is pretty big, and there's 5 different exam rooms. So we're able to, like, bring in, you could have 7 people there at one time, and nobody would know anybody else was there because they're all in separate rooms, which was kind of nice. I did have to hire, like, extra staff to go in and, like, sanitize each room in between, and they definitely put a toll on us. My staff's amazing, and, like, figured out how to do things efficiently and quickly, and ultimately it's worked out. Strangely, like, last year was the busiest year we've ever had. So 2020 was definitely a slower year for obvious reasons, but
Yeah, I mean, and just think, the world just gets turned upside down.
yeah.
What would you tell somebody that, might be a 19-year-old kid in their early 20s? It's like, you know what? I want to be a chiropractor.
Sure. I love that. Definitely go and I almost said phone book. Google, go to Google, look up chiropractors in your area, right? Give them a call. Say, hey, I want to be a chiropractor. Can I come hang out with you for the day? I do that probably 6 times a year. Some kid calls me and I say, yeah, come hang out. See what it's all about. I think it's so important to have realistic expectations of, like, what you're going to do in a career. And there's no better way to do it than hanging out with somebody that does it. And I think you owe it to yourself to do that with multiple chiropractors or anything you're going to do, right? Because I practice differently than other chiropractors. But yeah, definitely do that. And then take advantage. Almost every chiropractic school has a really great, like, I don't know what you would call it, like an information. They'll do an info weekend. Like my school will pay like $500 towards your flight to California, put you up for the weekend, show you a good time, teach you about the program. So, like, check out what's out there, and also just understanding, like, what different schools have different philosophies and different approaches to health. You got to find one that aligns with your personal philosophy.
Awesome. Yeah, because I guess, and this kind of leads into my next question. Because if anybody knows me, I love the chiropractor videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to lead to more people doing it. I do watch a lot of Dr. Brendan Mondragon, Dr. Gary Johnson. Have you seen any of these?
I had seen some. I looked them up when you sent me the details on them. I have mixed feelings.
That's what I want, because I watch a lot of different channels, and there's different chiropractors that don't agree with this one or that one. And yeah, what are your thoughts on I guess first, because I do want to get into one particular one, because I have a question for you.
Sure, yeah.
What do you think of chiropractors being on YouTube and having and reaching out to people like that?
So the obvious pro to this is that it's been great for chiropractic businesses, right? I get a lot of, like, I've seen an uptick in how many new patients I have, especially younger kids, right? Teenagers, early 20s, and where they're seeing it. They're seeing it on YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff. So that has been a great side effect of it, right? I think the cons to it are, right, so to the general public, it looks pretty cool. To other healthcare professionals, I'm often embarrassed for the profession, right? Because here's the truth. Like, I could teach you to do some of the stuff you see on there, right? Like, anybody could step on somebody's back and make it crack. That's not the hard part. Just like anybody could pick up a screwdriver and turn a nut in a car, right? That doesn't make you a mechanic, right? It's knowing how and where. And what I hope is happening in these videos is that, what they're not showing is a really thorough examination ahead of time. And they've determined that what they're doing is exactly right for that patient and not just doing cracks for YouTube, right? Because that's I don't think that's responsible. And like, we go to school for 4 years not to crack backs. It's to do a lot more than that.
Because I was gonna say, like, all right, because I do think, like, I don't know, and I don't know anything about. I just know what I see. Like,
totally.
I think Dr. Bo, I've seen him get ripped by other chiropractors. I've never seen Brenda Mondragon really get ripped by anybody.
Dr. Bo, is he the ring dinger guy?
No, that's Gary Johnson.
Gary,
Bo is the
right.
one that does the pro wrestlers
Oh,
and the
right,
UFC
right.
fight. He's got the beard. He's like our age.
And he does like the...
Yeah, and I've seen one chiropractor ripping on him for doing the mallet stuff.
So, I'll tell you, it looks crazy.
Yeah.
I've worked on professional bodybuilders, professional athletes. There's some people that the level of like adhesions that they're trying to break up, that level of force might be required, and it definitely looks cuckoo. But I think there's something to it. And again, I hope that they're using their expertise and all of their knowledge that they gained in school to make the appropriate call for the right patient. Like that's the most important thing. So I haven't seen the videos of other chiropractors ripping them.
Yeah.
I just wish there was a little bit more information about like everything that went in before the popping and the cracking. I know that's sensational and that's what everybody wants to see, but
and it makes for a good video.
Right.
Because I was going to ask about Gary Johnson out of Houston.
Right.
I've seen a lot of his stuff, and what I've noticed with his videos is everybody's getting the same treatment.
Right.
Which I'm like, which I think might confuse people probably. Because when I saw you, we didn't do you didn't put me in a machine and pull a towel on my, like.
No.
I'm going to ask two questions first. He does the ringer dinger thing.
Right.
Is that safe, or is that like
the answer is it could be safe.
Okay.
Right. But like, is he doing the appropriate examination? I don't do it. I get asked to do it because people see it on YouTube, and no way am I doing that, right? I'm not staking my license on that. If that's what he feels is the right thing to do for his patients, I get really great results with being really specific, right, and determining which segments of your spine are moving properly and which ones aren't, and addressing those specifically, right? His is a more like gross body approach, right? Like he's looking at the whole thing and trying to mobilize, I don't know, from your head to your toes, basically, right? So I think there's some merit to it. I do see him do the same thing on a lot of different people.
Because, and again, he's got but I've also seen on YouTube, like this group of YouTube chiropractors are all together agreeing this group is... There's another practice out of Baltimore, and they've talked about just doing regular care. Like, you didn't have a back injury, you're totally healthy.
Yeah.
Is that something? That's good to go see a chiropractor? Is just like
for sure. That's what I highly recommend.
Yeah.
And I always tell my patients, and the vast majority of people that come to me because they're hurt or they have headaches or they have constipation or whatever. There's some malady going on, and they've come to me for that. And typically what happens is they start to realize different things, like I can move better, I can breathe better, I can feel my body kind of adapting, right? And just feeling better in general, and then they stay for long-term care. There was a big study called the Nordic study that had improved health outcomes across the board, and not just musculoskeletal things. But we've seen changes in blood pressure. We've seen, decrease in headaches, all kinds of different things with regular maintenance chiropractic care. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I truthfully, if I'm being honest, I think everybody on planet Earth should be checked, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean everybody gets adjusted, because not everybody always needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
And if we're being specific and scientific about it, we need to know when to do it and when not to do it. But there's times people come in and I say, you know what, you don't need an adjustment today, and that's really good. And that's a hard conversation to have because they still got to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
But we did the thing, and this is good.
And most people, I assume they enjoy getting adjusted.
For sure, yeah.
Because I mean, is there a chiropractor that you see yourself, or is it?
So it used to be my dad.
Yeah.
And then in chiropractic school, it was, you get adjusted like way too much by every student.
Everybody's practicing.
Because you can practice
Yeah.
on each other. And now my associate chiropractor adjusts me.
Awesome.
Dr. Joe.
I do see that in the videos too, and again, they like, YouTube, you can get down a rabbit hole, and now I'm like, I follow these,
it's so
these
cool.
different ones. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. And,
Yeah.
I should probably dig a little bit deeper, and I've only seen the really sensational ones that happen to put the really popular ones, and they're mostly just like popping and cracking videos. So maybe there's some more educational, something with actual content in there.
Yeah, it's more entertainment.
Yeah,
I could see
for
that.
sure. And you know what? If that gets you the YouTube video views, I guess more power to you. Right?
Oh, like I said, Brenda Mon, she has 1 million people on her channel,
Really?
1 million people following.
Really?
So.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got some fan questions and comments for you here. First one, a friend of mine, Jennifer Stewart, she just says, "This is awesome." Jen, shout out to you. Thank you.
Shout out to Jennifer Stewart. Hi, Jen.
She's definitely a fan of yours. We have one from Charles M. Stewart. We go back with him in high school, though I don't think I ever remember, I don't think I knew him well in high school, but I see him on social media a lot.
Jose and I were really good friends.
Oh, that's right. He went by Jose.
That's right.
That's why it's so confusing.
I don't know who this Charles character is.
Dan.
Yeah. Jose and I played soccer together. We were really good buddies from when he first moved into the Nashua area, and we still have been. Jose, I'm sorry, buddy. Just keep calling. I'll call you back, I promise.
Oh, yeah, because he said, please have him call back. It's tough. People are doing stuff. They get busy, Also, please ask what he thinks the Celtics management should do.
Oh, man, this is a good question. Nobody's going to like my answer. I'm a big Celtics fan. I probably watch at least 50 games a year. It has been really hard to watch them lately. I don't know if you have been.
I dabble when I
paying
can.
attention. It's just so frustrating. And I was thinking about it. I just think we got to shake things up. Number one, I don't think Ime Udoka is the guy for the job. I think he's a good placeholder between Brad Stevens and the next guy. I haven't personally been impressed, and I think we need a real coach. And I think we got to break up the team. And I think if I had to let go of one of the Jays, it'd be Tatum. I really
Okay.
Yeah. I don't feel like his heart's in the game all the time, right? And I think you need a guy that hates to lose, right? And I just don't see that. He loves to win, and he loves to score 50 points, and he's a phenomenal talent. But I don't see the grit night in and night out that most champions have, right? Like LeBron doesn't take a night off, right?
No.
Regardless of how you feel. Jordan didn't take a night off. Kobe didn't take a night off, and they hated to lose. And I just feel like Tatum's not there.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, it is going to come to that point. Next, a couple questions from Becky. I think it was Becky Liberty.
Liberty, yeah.
And now she married someone with a more difficult.
Shackles? Shadow?
She stole? I don't know. Becky, please, if you watch this, correct us. Let us know.
Becky, I got to tell you, I think of you every time Backstreet Boys come up on.
It's true.
From the days of Pennachuck Junior High, every time I hear Backstreet Boys, I think of Becky Liberty.
That's when I started calling them BSB.
That's right.
Pretty sure, when she'd sign your yearbook, she'd write BSB on it.
Forever, yeah.
But she wants to know, so the picture that we used, it was the picture off your website. Is that the picture taken at the bathrooms by Grilly?
I am so impressed that you nailed that guess, and from a couple of stones, you figured it out. That is exactly where that was. And shout out to Jay Pichardo for taking those pictures, and we'll be taking some new ones for the new website.
I love Grilly Park to this day.
Oh, yeah, the willow tree.
Yeah, it's you can't go wrong there.
No.
People hate playing softball there. I actually like it. I know the fields are a little smaller, but
down across the street there.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Anytime I host an event, that's where I have it.
When are we doing a Grilly Park All Stars reunion?
We should flag that. Well, I tore my rotator cuff playing flag, but yeah, we should. I don't know. Everybody's all over the place now. She wants to know, what would you say to someone who's never tried a chiropractor? What is the main thing you say to people? What would you say the main thing is people go in for?
Sure. Most commonly, it's musculoskeletal issues, right? Back pain, ankle pain, neck pain, headaches is a really common one. And then the people who have, explored it a little bit more, usually know we can do things for a lot of different systemic issues in your body. Most commonly these days, in the generation of working from home on the computer, I get a ton of like bilateral shoulder pain, mid-back pain, neck pain, and headaches. And there's some, pretty solid solutions for that, and we can get people a lot of relief. And if I'm doing my job right, I'm not just getting you better, I'm teaching you how to stay better at home, right? So there's rehabilitative exercises, and there's exercises that I tell people, you got to do this for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want to come see me all the time, right? And if I'm doing my job right, you shouldn't have to see me all the time. Then that's what you got to do. But I strongly encourage you to check out a chiropractor. It's one of the most profound things you can do for your health. It's a pretty small investment of time and money, and we can do a lot of things for your health.
And I have to say, when I went in, because I saw you a couple of years ago, I think you had me watch something before you even started.
That's right.
You're like, watch this, and I was like, okay. But I think that's a good thing that people know.
Yeah, I've since
gives you
done
more
away
idea
with that video, and
Okay.
I kind of have made my own little concise explanation of chiropractic. But the bottom line is, and this is what most people think, what do you think of when you think of a chiropractor? What do we work on?
Backs.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what everybody thinks.
Sometimes necks, though, because the YouTube is changing my head.
That's right. But the vast majority of what we do and the impact of the chiropractic adjustment happens in your nervous system, right? And you get roughly 70 trillion cells in your body, and every single one of them is directly attached to your nervous system and controlled by your brain, right? And I pay a lot of attention to people's backs because it's the home of your central nervous system, brain, spinal cord, right? And that's where all the action happens. And so that's really what I'm doing. I kind of got off track here. I forgot what the question was.
No, she was just saying, what would you say to someone that's never tried it? And I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Educate yourself and a little bit before going in, and know what you do.
Right.
I would say.
Right.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Very handsome, says Barbara Bard.
That's my Auntie Barbie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Auntie Barbie. I love you. Miss you guys.
And we had a comment from Instagram from Colin Wade here, and this was a very nice comment that he said about you. He said, "Not a question, but kudos for Brandon on not just transitioning into running a family business, but absolutely continuing to build upon it, and the growth is crazy. Congrats to all your success, Brandon."
That means a lot, Colin, and I really appreciate it. And I think Colin and I had some overlap when he was in PT school.
Yeah.
I was a little bit ahead of him in chiropractic school, and I remember him, like some of his posts on Facebook or whatever about the struggle of grad school, and it was nice to share some like words of encouragement back and forth because it gets pretty nitty gritty and getting through that. But thank you, Colin. That really means a lot to me.
Yeah, and I know Colin Colin went from, I think, massage therapy to PT.
Mm-hmm.
So
And some pizza delivery in between there.
Yeah, I do remember that. But thanks for the comment, Colin. Let's get into some sports here.
Yeah.
If you're a Boston Red Sox fan, it's been a pretty awesome week.
Yeah.
I booked my hotel room already for Cooperstown, New York. David Ortiz going to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that?
The big Papi. I think it's really well deserved. I don't know if you've had the conversation about bonds and all that stuff, but
I do believe he should be there too.
I believe he should be there. And we could talk for an hour just about that. But congrats to Big Papi. That's a big one. I've always had a little jealousy for Big Papi. My wife has clearly stated that if there was one man on earth that she would leave me for, it'd be the Big Papi himself. So, I mean, he sets the bar pretty high, so that's good.
Do you have a favorite moment of his? I mean, there's so many.
I think at the time during the Boston Marathon tragedy, and he picked up the mic and so famously said, "This is our effing city."
I was there.
Yeah, were you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my favorite moment.
I mean, that's goosebumps, man. That's the magic of like really great athletes is it goes way beyond sports, right? Like he was our guy, and he was like the face of like Boston Strong to me.
I agree. I couldn't believe he said it, and I was so jacked up. And we've talked about this on the show. I love Tom Brady. My two favorite athletes all time are Tom Brady and David Ortiz. And I've asked this on the show many times, and the answer always comes back to who means more to this region, Ortiz or Brady? Ooh. And people say Ortiz,
Really?
Because of that moment, they said he became bigger than the game.
Okay.
You know, and I said, he basically said, this is my home. And I got chills. I get chills when I rewatch that now.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up the one thing he brought up about the other people. Bonds and Clemens are now coming off the ballot. I mean, I've been posting a lot on Facebook about this. I think they deserve their place. I think the owners knew. I think the coaches, the managers knew that they were doing steroids. We've allowed a lot of the coaches that coach them into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, good point.
La Russa, Bobby Cox got in, other coaches. I think I agree.
Let me ask you this. This is what I was thinking about. If you had to take a guess of, like, during that era, what are we talking, late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, I mean, this was going on all through the 90s. So.
What percentage of the guys in the MLB you think were using steroids?
Probably, my guess would be about 70%.
Right. So I think if it was 10% and Bonds had these numbers, maybe that's a consideration. But, like, if he doesn't have that much of an unfair advantage, I put an asterisk next to his name, put him in the books.
Well, I got to say this. He didn't get jacked like that till very late in his career.
Yeah.
And I think what happened with Bonds was that he said, everyone else is doing it. And Mark McGuire's out there breaking records. Sammy Sosa's, I'm going to break that record. Mm-hmm. And then he juiced.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't talk about this. And these writers don't seem to care. Baseball alienated their fans in 1994 with the strike.
Yeah.
The fans were brought back by that home run chase in 1998.
Yeah.
And now it's all washed away. So, a little frustrating. Only other thing I want to say is let's stop comparing the steroid stuff to Pete Rose. I love Pete Rose. Pete knew if he gambled on baseball, he was going to be banned for life. Mm-hmm. And he did it anyways.
Right.
And he did it as a manager of a team.
Right.
He literally could control the outcome of the game. So please, everybody, stop comparing that. Oh, they're cheaters. I go, Pete could have thrown games. That's worse.
Right. You're deliberately losing a game. Right. And even if you're taking steroids, doesn't mean you're going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Or doesn't mean you're going to make the throw.
It's frustrating to see that comparison because I'm like, they're like, well, he only bet on the Reds. I go, bullshit.
Yeah.
He 162 games. He's betting on the Reds every night.
Right.
Has there ever been a team that went 162-0? No. So, last thing in sports. You watched the games last weekend?
Oh my goodness gracious!
Unbelievable.
I can't. I mean, everyone's saying the Bills Chiefs was the best game ever. I don't know if this is just because we're fans, but I still feel like the 28-3 Super Bowl.
It's my favorite.
I mean, an epic comeback. But I mean, it's certainly top two for me. Yeah, what an epic weekend of football. Super disappointing for the Packers. I feel like they're
the choke artists every year.
Artists. Yeah, what the heck? Sorry, Larry. Yeah, but that Bills game. What about? We're going to talk about overtime.
Yeah, I think we should. I want to point out every game came down to who had the ball last this weekend, which I don't think you can ask for. That might have been as a whole the best weekend of football ever. Yeah. I'm just going to ask the question. This happened to the Chiefs. They lost overtime.
We were on the winning side of that,
which was nice, but we still had
great.
The team we had. But now it's the Chiefs have now won. Andy Reid still he does want to see a change. Do you want to see overtime change?
I do. I don't think anybody can convince me that whoever won that coin toss wasn't going to march down the field and put up points, probably a touchdown. I mean, they were just so red hot.
I mean,
I don't understand why you wouldn't. Put 10 minutes on the clock. I kind of like Belichick's idea of just add extra time, eliminate the sudden death aspect of it because it just seems so unfair that you don't get a chance to respond, right?
Yeah, I mean, the way the game was going, okay, so the Chiefs were winning. How many lead changes were there in the last, 5 minutes?
You thought the game was over like 3 or 4 times in the fourth quarter.
If you're telling me you got 13 seconds on the clock and you still can't win the game, I don't,
you got a point there. And, there's different takes on Should they have squib kicked it? Should they have tried to run more time off the clock? I don't. They get chastised for whatever decision they make if they lose, but.
I gotta. I mean, we were talking about this off air when I first came in, Justin. Is what happened more Patrick Mahomes, and that's just how good he is, or was it that the Bills' defense just in the end couldn't make that? I mean, we saw it with the Bucs. Mm-hmm. That was another game where they could have gone into overtime. And you give up the big play.
Yeah.
And now you're going from maybe overtime to loss, or now you give up the big play, you're about to win the game, and you're now in overtime. Was that more Mahomes, or is that more like the defense blew it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, Mahomes, I do believe, is that good. I also think the defense blew it, right? Like, I'm not sure, a subpar quarterback would have done it against the Bills' defense. True. But, none of the plays, they weren't spectacular plays in and of themselves. You know what I mean? They were spectacular because there was 13 seconds left and they executed them. But we've seen them do the sideways, both feet off the ground, throw it 50 yards directly to a guy. He's that good. But no, I kind of feel like the Bills, I guess, botched it.
Yeah, I mean,
they were pretty routine plays.
Yeah.
It wasn't something fancy.
13 seconds. You are going from hosting the AFC Championship in Buffalo. You got 13 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's it. And Mahomes somehow pulls it off. Unbelievable. Every game was just unbelievable. The 49ers blocking that punt, getting the ball back, then they beat the Packers. Like, that was all special teams the reason they won that game. Yeah. That's not talked about enough. Yeah. Brady, to be honest, the Bucs shouldn't even been there. Their defense actually got them there with they forced 2 fumbles. Yeah. So, man, that's everything you could ever want in playoffs. One last question on this, and then we're going to make some predictions. Have you had enough of Patrick Mahomes' fiance and brother?
I don't see all of that. I've seen the headlines about like all this stuff. I don't see that part. I'm sick of hearing about it, but I don't really know what they're doing. So I guess I don't know that part.
There's all these memes because she's throwing champagne on all the fans, and they're like, "It's freezing out here."
Oh no, I didn't know. Yeah, that's unexcusable.
Yeah,
don't be a jerk.
They're I don't know, but anyways.
Yeah, and his brother. I mean, does his brother have any talent, or is he just?
No, he does like these dances on TikTok. I'd be sitting there and be like, "Listen, you can come to the games, but you need to knock it off."
Yeah. I mean, I guess if it's like his foot in the door to make a living for himself.
Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Sure.
There's other people there's a lot of people that don't deserve to be famous that are famous.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right into this then. Let's make some predictions because we got the championships games. Let's start with the NFC. You have the 49ers. My surprise to be where they're at right now.
I'm surprised too.
They're going into LA. It's the Rams. Rams got rid of Jared Goff. They got Matthew Stafford.
What a weird deal that was.
I was shocked. Yeah. Sean McVay, one of the youngest coaches in the league, which we're older than he is.
Yeah.
Who's winning? What do you got for score?
This one was tricky for me. I'm going to say 27-21 49ers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of like not the favorite call, but I think, the classic saying, right? Defense wins championships. The defense is rock solid. They've got some nasty offensive weapons. I don't think Jimmy G is he's no Tom Brady. He's no Patrick Mahomes. But when you got weapons like that and you got a solid defense, and he can stay cool and execute, hopefully, I think they got a slight edge there.
I'm definitely pulling for the 49ers.
I am too.
Jimmy G is one of our guys.
Right. That's.
And I don't want to hear it on Facebook. Oh, the Patriot fans, now the Bucs fans, now the Niners fans. I can root for individual players.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I'm going 21-6 Rams. That team looked good. I know they slowed down in the second half.
Did you say 21-6?
21-6. I don't think the 49ers will score a touchdown. I think they're going to have 2 field goals.
All right.
But if Jimmy G lights it up, I'll be very happy for him.
Yeah.
But what I've seen so far, I go, Like,
Yeah, that last game was not a convincing performance.
yeah, like
I think he's got it in him.
we'll see. He's not known for doing this in the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
he's good at handing off the ball. But I'm so excited for that. And I would be excited for Matthew Stafford because the guy was tortured his whole career in Detroit.
Right. Seriously.
He's like, he joins another team, he's in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing
for him. And he was that good. What's wrong with Detroit?
They can't I don't know how many times you can have high draft picks and nothing to show for it ever.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, let's go to the AFC. We got the Chiefs. They're back 4 years in a row.
Did you see that? Like, Andy Reid was the first coach ever to bring two teams
Yeah.
to like 4 consecutive
Yep.
conference.
He has won the big one now. But if you really, the track record's not great.
No.
0-3. Then he finally got to the Super Bowl, lost the AFC Championship the first year, won the Super Bowl, lost, and then lost in the Super Bowl. So. And I already think he's a Hall of Fame coach, but
I agree.
For his legacy. But we got the Chiefs, and we got a team I never thought
No way.
I would see ever sniff a championship game.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals. This kid Burrows. Wow.
Yeah.
It's in Kansas City. Who you got?
Well, I'd really like to see the Bengals pull it off. I don't think they're going to. I think the Chiefs are so red hot. I believe in momentum, and like coming off such an epic win. I think they're just going to carry that momentum. I think they're going to steamroll them. I think it's going to be 31-7, 31-11, something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to go not too far off. I'm going to say 35-14.
Yeah.
I can't get over 13 seconds, and that was enough to send the game into overtime.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is something special that, we had Brady.
Yeah.
The whole league had Brady all these years. This is the new face of the league.
Yeah. Do you think he's a threat to Brady's legacy?
He's going to have to win a lot more to do that.
Yeah.
I think the way he plays the game is not,
Sustainable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he can, he's not going to be playing until he's almost 45 years
Yeah.
old. I don't see that. I do see him winning another one. He's the face of the league right now, but I think, there's a lot of good quarterbacks.
There are. Well, just look at this last weekend and think of what a product the NFL is right now. That was a lot of hours of solid entertainment, and good for them. But yeah.
Josh Allen's going to be in my nightmares for the next decade.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That kid,
Yeah.
I hope that game crushed him mentally, and he never bounces back. Because if that's their quarterback, and as long as they're not complete idiots, the East is theirs for a little while.
Yeah.
But I do believe in Mac Jones.
I do too. I think he's pretty legit. I think he's got a ways to go, but I think he's a good guy to try to develop, into the next thing. I do have to say, after we lost to the Bills, I was rooting for the Bills. Like, I kind of wanted to see them get it. There's certain teams, I'll never want the Colts to win.
Nope.
I'll never want Giants to win.
Nope.
Right? Like, there's certain teams, like
Broncos, I don't ever.
yeah, right. But the Bills, I feel like they got a good, strong fan base, and I lived in Oakland. Those were some of the most diehard football fans I've ever seen. Like, my whole neighborhood that I lived in, you could hear cheering. It was pretty cool. And I support a team that's got real fans like that, and I don't think Buffalo's one of them.
Yeah, I get a lot of flack for this. Now, first of all, we owned Buffalo for 20 years. Okay, that blowout was like 20 years of frustration. I've been to Buffalo. I get a lot of crap because my buddy was a Bills fan, and I went and I wore a Drew Bledsoe Bills jersey. Oh, I sold out.
Oh, Dan, I think I saw a picture of you in that, and I got a little judgy.
I went through a table. That was my goal.
Yeah.
But I do have. I'll tell you this: they don't like us.
No,
they do not like us.
No.
The fact that I saw a guy there that was wearing a Celtics jersey, thinking like he was a New Englander. Like, yeah, we really, we're from New England. Like, we're just here for the game. Brady's not the best quarterback. Okay, I didn't even mention Brady. No, he's not the best. He's not. I'm like, you want to fight over this, dude?
Who says that?
People are drunk by like 9:30.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I will just say, yeah, I was pulling for the Bills too, but we might we can look at them and be like, oh yeah, get your
Right.
have your time, but they hate us.
Right.
Let's get into some top fives. Do you have a top 5 favorite movies?
Okay, I do. This took a lot of thought, and I got one outlier here that I bet nobody else has said. In no particular order, really. Number 1, Braveheart.
Ah, yes.
Love it. Just rewatched it because it's out on Netflix. That's just so good. And I remember I had it on VHS, and it was 2 VHSs because it was so long.
Yeah.
You know, loved that. Gladiator, Russell Crowe, another favorite of mine. It's just so good. Here's the weird one: A Christmas Story.
Oh, Ralphie.
I just love it. It's Christmas like that. You know, like you have that thing, like it's Christmas time. Once that starts getting on TV,
That's how you know.
it's Christmas for me. I love it. Next is The Fighter.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely
Lowell
love
guy.
it. Yeah, Lowell guy. I just love that movie. It was also filmed in the Greek restaurant. Part of it,
okay.
the scene where he gets his hand bashed. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was at the Olympia in Lowell. And that's where my family has all our Greek family reunions. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
And finally, The Departed.
Oh yeah.
That's just so good.
You got to have a Scorsese movie somewhere in that
Yeah.
list. You
Yeah.
know. Favorite TV shows.
Runaway favorite, The Office. I've
Yes.
I've just seen it so many times. Next on the list is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Ooh,
Love it.
Yeah.
Like shaped my sense of like comedy in junior high and high school. And so many life lessons from Uncle Phil.
Yeah, he's like your TV dad.
Yeah, he
you
was.
know.
Next is Alone. Maybe it's not as popular one. Have you seen Alone?
I haven't. No.
Oh man, it's like true reality because they drop a bunch of people off in the middle of the woods with their own camera equipment. There's no production to it, and whoever survives the longest without tapping out or like getting injured wins. And like, there's some crazy stuff on there.
Is that on Netflix at all?
There's one season
okay.
on Netflix, but I found other ones on Hulu. It's just really entertaining, and I'm big into like bushcraft and like survival and yeah.
Check that out.
Axemen is another favorite of
Do
mine.
you know what Axemen is?
All right. Yeah, I just like that. And then Jeopardy, the old classic. I'm a big Jeopardy guy.
I do love Jeopardy. I miss Alex Trebek for sure.
Yeah, R.I.P. Alex.
Top 5 musical artists.
Okay, this one was real hard. I got some honorable mentions. I just got to throw in there. Okay, number 1, Frank Sinatra.
Ooh.
My Way might just be like my favorite song of all time. In my office, we play really good music all day long, but every Monday we do Disco Fridays and we do Sinatra Monday morning. So like I love going to work Monday morning and Frankie's on, just love it. Next is Notorious B.I.G. Just like
I had a feeling you were
what
going
we
to say that.
grew up on. Yeah. Eminem is on there. Just we grew up in the hip hop generation. He's a big one for me, and I think he continues to be really good. All right, couple of tricky ones here. So Jay-Z's on there. How do you not love him? Like everybody knows all the songs. I love singing them. Kendrick Lamar. Honorable mentions: Radiohead, Bob Marley, and my new favorite lately that I've been listening to on Pandora all the time, Anderson .Paak. You heard of him?
I have not.
I've seen some of the music you post and stuff. Like you'll like them. We're gonna listen a little bit after.
All right.
The show.
You know what's weird? Like these days, though, the majority of what I listen to is country and Christian music.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
I mean, that's
nice.
very.
Every once in a while, you'll post like lyrics or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I have certain mixes, but I like to post lyrics to see who can figure out what song it is. Let's go to blank versus blank real quick. We'll kind of go through these a little bit, kind of quick here, but I think I'm going to know the answer now that we got your list. But Tupac or Biggie?
Biggie.
Yeah, I will say Ready to Die is my favorite album.
Yeah.
Like of all albums.
Yeah, I just love it. Like I'm sure you and I can both sing every word.
Yeah. More responsible for success of the New England Patriots over the last 20 years, Brady or Belichick?
Belichick. I think. And that's not a knock to Brady. And I think the truth is, it's not either one of them. It's them together.
I agree.
Right? Like it's when greatness meets greatness. Like that's what you get. I don't think Belichick wins 6 without Brady, and I don't think Brady wins 6 without Belichick. And yeah, I know he went and won one on his own. How much of that is what he learned from Bill Belichick, right? And like his strategy and the way, all the things, So I don't think either one of them are as great alone. That's a good life lesson in there, right? We're better together.
I always say Belichick because he bought the groceries, and he's the one that drafted Gronk.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
That's a good point.
Would you? I know you're a big soccer guy. Do you still watch soccer?
Not really.
Okay.
I kind of like pay attention, but it's not my.
Would you rather watch a college soccer game if you were, or MLS?
I like MLS.
Okay.
So I played in a men's league at the Hampshire Dome.
Yeah.
Just until this last year. I'm looking for a new team. But there was a guy, Diego Fagundes, who started for the Revolution for a long time. His uncle played in my men's league.
Oh, wow.
And in their offseason, Diego would come play with us. So I was like playing with a professional soccer player, and that got me back into watching the Revolution. But we used to go, like my team, we would go as a team to the Revolution games, and it's awesome.
Anytime you can go to Gillette, it's just a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what's on the field.
Yeah.
The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Ooh. Stone Cold, man, he was just such a badass. And I feel like his entire, he is Stone Cold, and The Rock is now, other things. Like, Steve Austin is just...
He's wrestling, and Rock doesn't feel like he's wrestling anymore.
Right, exactly.
Would you rather listen to Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson. Both good. MJ's...
More hits.
Yeah.
I think more hits that we probably listen to.
Well, and I like his music in general.
Yeah.
And I always have.
All right, toughest one in blank versus blank. We're going to do 2 Nashua High throwbacks here. 2 guys. I got Dave Alfonso or Jimmy Barrett.
Oh, man. In what?
You can only keep one.
This is one of my buddies is going to be mad at me.
But don't put your feet to the fire on this.
I mean, I think everybody knows that Dave Alfonso is like my best friend. He's my brother. He's my kid's godfather.
He's got there's the advantage.
So there's that. Yeah. Jimmy and I just talked for a long time the other night, and he's doing so good, and I'm just so glad to see him. And our boys, the funny story about Jimmy, I called him to say, hey, man.
We're good. No, go ahead.
Okay. Going to have a baby. Like when we first found out we were pregnant.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to have a baby. And our boys were born, I don't know, like 3 weeks apart.
Oh, nice.
And then Eric Delgado also had a baby like within 3 weeks. So we called them the ABC crew.
Oh, I remember
Elijah,
this. I've
Braden,
seen this, yeah.
And Cole.
Delgado's in Florida, right?
He's down in Florida. He and his wife started a special ed school, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really cool.
Everybody's doing big things. So happy to see that. Yeah. But, Brandon, I really appreciate coming on. This has been a blast. We'd love to have you back sometime. I forgot the thing. That's all right. We'll talk about it off air. But everybody out there, again, if you're asked to wear a mask, please just wear a mask. We're saying get vaccinated. But have a great week, everybody. Until next time, let freedom ring.